MSNBC is the place for politics, and the president is speaking out against what he says are the less productive fights over health care. At his Colorado town hall, the president once again called out the media for playing up the scuffles at the town hall meetings, repeating his refrain that TV loves a ruckus. He also had words for those who interpreted a provision for end-of-life counseling as an attempt to, quote, kill Granny.
When I have people who just a couple of years ago thought this was a good idea, now getting on television suggesting that it's a plot against grandma or to sneak euthanasia into our healthcare system, that feels dishonest to me. And we've got enough stuff to deal with without having these kinds of arguments.
For more now on the fight over health care and what crosses the line, I'm joined now live from Washington by Peter Slutsky, a blogger on DoubleSpeak and also at the Huffington Post, and a conservative blogger, Liz Mair. She's the former online communications director for the Republican National Committee, and she blogs at lizmair.com. So, good morning to the two of you, Peter and Liz.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, Peter, you know, the president says that TV causes a ruckus. Oh, well. But he also says it's natural the debate over health care is going to be an emotional one. Is it really fair for him to single out the media for playing these emotional moments?
Well, you know, I think it's fair for the president to call out the fact that, you know, that the media is focusing so solely on, you know, this very small majority of people or minority of people that are going to these healthcare meetings and, you know, getting in the face of their members of Congress and screaming. I understand, and it's completely fair that they show up and that they're, you know, expressing their views, but it's the nature of the debate. It muddies the waters, and that's what the opponents of the president's healthcare plan want at this moment, which is just to throw you know, everything they can into the debate to scare people and to gin up this kind of reaction against what we all think is progress and most Americans think is progress on the healthcare front.
You know, Liz, I'm curious if you think all the noise from the town halls is drowning out the real debate, or is it part of it?
I think it's part of it. Some of it isn't like the most constructive aspect of the debate that is ongoing, but I do think that it's part of it. You know, the president's right that this is a very important issue, and it's one about which Americans have very strong emotions. The public is pretty divided about whether they support this plan or whether they do not. And so it's not surprising that you should see people becoming very emotional at these town hall meetings. It's also not surprising that there are more constructive debates, as the president would see them, ongoing in those town hall meetings also, even if they're not necessarily gaining the same amount of publicity.
Okay. We've got both sides suggesting that we're in for a horror show of sorts if their opponents win the fight. Here's the GOP's take on that.
Now we face his most dangerous experiment of all. Government takeover of healthcare. An experiment that will cost over $1 trillion. Threaten your private insurance, and cost taxpayers hundreds of billions in new taxes. The presidency of Barack Obama. A failed experiment in just 200 days.
Okay. You know, what is that, like a takeoff on Frankenstein's laboratory or something? What are your thoughts on that, Peter?
Well, the role that the GOP is playing right now is just an unconstructive role, and I think for the people who are really paying attention, they realize this. If Barack Obama passes and the Democrats in Congress pass health care, which they will, we are going to get health care this fall, then it's going to be a huge payback for Democrats for a generation. So the Republicans have to fight it, and that's their role as they see it right now, and it's just completely unconstructive. I'm curious what Liz thinks about that.
Okay, you can ask the question. What do you want to answer?
I don't think that it's true that... I'm sorry, I don't think that it's true that Republicans have nothing to propose where health care is concerned. I do think that there is an effort to block a lot of what is under discussion going through, and that's not terribly surprising because when you look at things from a conservative or a libertarian standpoint, there are many, many problems with what is being proposed. We do have a problem in this country with a rising national debt. It is very fast rising. We have a huge deficit. This is something that CBO has taken issue with regard to this particular health care proposal that is under consideration, and that's something that a lot of Americans are concerned about right now. We are looking at government having a bigger role in health care, and that's something that Americans are also concerned about. And I think when you see some of the failures of government in recent years, that's not terribly surprising.
Okay, let's take a look at the Democrats, what they're putting out there for the public to to consume. Let's take a listen.
The government takeover of healthcare.
The Washington takeover.
The government takeover.
It is a complete Washington takeover of healthcare.
Healthcare being taken over by the Fed.
Seriously, it is this whole Frankenstein theme thing, I think, out there. Look, what they're saying is they're sowing, elements of fear there. That's what they're saying the Republicans are doing. Peter, is it fair to simplify the argument this much, even if the president says opponents have legitimate concerns?
Well, opponents do have legitimate concerns, and that's where we are. I mean, the president put out an op-ed this morning in the New York Times where he said we're about 80% there towards health care. The last 20% is what we're fighting on, and that's where opponents of the president are trying, as I said, to muddy these waters and scare people and gin up this fear that somehow it's going to, be a government takeover and all this hyperbole and exaggeration that you're seeing in all of these ads on all sides. But that's politics, and that's where we are at this moment. And I think when we come back from this August recess, you're going to see a bill come out of the Senate. You're going to see one proposal that the Democrats can go back and sell. Right now, we don't have a plan. It's just there's one bill out of the House, and it'll help really focus this debate once we see a health care plan put out and supported by the White House.
Okay, Liz, we're out of time, but real quick, what are we going to see come September?
I think we're going to end up seeing something that's pretty watered down from what the president originally wanted, if indeed we see something that is capable of passing at all. There's a lot of discussion about how Republicans are saying no to this and Republicans are blocking this, but at the end of the day, Democrats have a strong majority in both houses of Congress, and if this doesn't get done, it's not Republicans' fault. It's down to the Democratic Party.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you both joining us, Peter Slutsky and Liz Mair. Thank you.
Thank you.